Yo, 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 peeps. Erik Galaxy here, Twit Radio, and here we go. Right off the top, just want to congratulate Antonio Pierce for being named the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Would have been pretty stupid if they hadn't hired him full-time. But, you know, the Raiders have made some questionable head coaching hires in the past, so it was a little, you know, dicey there for a while, iffy. So congrats, Antonio. Yeah, go Raiders. Also, this guy named Jim Harbaugh got hired to be the coach of the LA Chargers. Did a little research on this guy, and apparently he led the 49ers to 3 consecutive NFC Conference Championship games back in the early 2010s. Yeah, he won a Super Bowl. Oh, he went to one Super Bowl. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but he went to one. So yeah, not a bad gig if you can get it, right? So congrats to Mr. Harbaugh on your new position. The big news this week is that Brock Purdy still sucks. There was a Saturday Night Live had a bit a long time ago when Chevy Chase had an opening where he said, General Franco is still dead. And it got a lot of laughs. I'm not sure why, but it got a lot of laughs. General Franco is still dead. He would open his little news thing with that every single time. So Brock Purdy still sucks. You know, I was listening to some people talking about the Detroit Lions and how they've bought into their coach. You know, they've become, you know, hard-nosed. They bought into the system. I'm going, whoa, wait, record scratching. Wait, system? So, wait a second. So, isn't that the reason Brock Purdy sucks? Is because he's in a system? But the Detroit Lions are great because they're in a system, because they're buying into the system. I know I'm saying system a lot, but it seems to become... It's becoming a bad word for some reason all of a sudden, you know, dun dun dun, system. Even Terry Bradshaw last week was saying all quarterbacks are in a system. We're all a product of the system. Tom Brady was a product of the system. I mean, at least initially, and then sure, he elevated his game as he went along, but you all start with the system and then you learn from there. So system, and if I keep saying system one more time, I'm going to everybody take a drink. This is a drink game. Whenever somebody says system, you take a drink, right? There you go. Is Josh Allen a loser because he's not in a system? If he was in a system, maybe he might be winning. But oh yeah, he's a great quarterback though. Great quarterback. Although he's never been to any championship game. But he's a great quarterback. So, go figure on that. Once again, dichotomy, you know. Super Bowl 23, the 49ers are down by 3 points. It's 16-13. They've got the ball on their own 8-yard line, with I think there was like 3 minutes and something time left, and he marches them down the field, and they score what turns out to be the winning touchdown with like 40-something seconds left on the clock. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? I mean, anybody? Anybody? You? Now, sure, Brock had more than 3 minutes, and he didn't start on his own 8-yard line, but they went down and scored what turned out to be the winning touchdown with a little over a minute left. But he sucks. He sucks. Speaking of the Lions, Dan Campbell last week was some reporter asked him to explain the hit that one of his players took on one of the players from the Rams that caused the Rams player to basically tear his ACL and is now out for probably a year. And Dan Campbell said, well, that's the way we play. You know, it's perfectly, you know, legal. And people got up in arms. They're like, oh my God, that's a cheap shot. We need to start teaching our players how to tackle instead of launching themselves. Dude, first of all, the hit was perfectly legal. If you want to make it illegal, then fine. Go change the rules, you know. But anytime a hit is legal, it's not a dirty play. I don't care what you say. Oh, that's dirty. It'd be inside, you know. No. If it's legal, it's not dirty. That's the first thing. The second thing is that launching yourself at a player has been around a long time. Ronnie Lott, the great 49er defensive back, made a living pretty much out of launching himself like a missile at players and bam, out. So don't tell me about how, oh, we need to start teaching our players how to tackle better, you know, wrapping the arms like, well, this ain't the 1930s, okay? This is football now, and it's been that way for a while. So when you say it's a dirty hit or launch, you know, get off my lawn, get off my lawn. Why is that expression, get off my lawn, like that? I mean, what does that mean? Get off my lawn. I mean, you don't want nobody walking around your lawn. Is that? I digress. So yeah. Yeah. It's football, man. It's a violent sport. It's a violent sport. And if you choose that to be your profession, you know, the thing got me about that mostly was that this past weekend I was watching the Ravens-Texans game, and the linebacker for the Ravens, same exact play. Launches himself to the thigh area of the tight end. I mean, if you took a picture of that one hit, the Detroit Lions and Rams game, and you took another picture of this game, and you put them together, you'd be like, oh my God, that's like, you know, you could like overlap them because it was the same hit, but nobody said nothing. Nobody said nothing. Crickets. Why is that? Well, because the player didn't get hurt. If you got hurt, oh, everybody went up in arms about, oh, that's a terrible play, it's a cheap shot, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't get hurt, it's okay. And every time I say the word dichotomy, I keep thinking of that REM song in my head. But it's true. It's like, you know, it's hypocritical. It's like, wait a second, you can't have it, once again, you cannot have it both ways. It's either it's bad or it's good. It's not, you know, good. Anyway, so quit talking about how you know, you can't, you need to start teaching people how to tackle. Last thing is that Brock Purdy, dude, start wearing your hat backwards again. You kind of lost a little bit of your edge once you started, like, you know, stopping because that idiot reporter, you know, chastised you for wearing your hat backwards. If I was you, go get a hat. I'd get that dude's face like embroidered on the back of it, and I'd wear that to every single news conference. That'll show that guy, that idiot. Yeah. So another big thing in the news this week was the PFF analytics. Oh man, the shit hit the fan on that one. I think I mentioned this a little bit in my last episode. Well, it just wasn't me that people were saying stuff, but a lot of people just went full tilt boogie on PFF analytics. Is it good? Is it bad? You know, oh, what about gut feeling? Shouldn't that count for anything? Yep. My problem with the PFF analytics, or as some people like to call it, information, is that no one ever explains to me how far down the rabbit hole analytics goes. Do they just take, do they take all the scenarios from what, the last 5 years, 10 years, 2 months, and do they take the analytics from all of the teams and just kind of lump them together, stir it up, and then regurgitate it as, well, and here you go. Or do they actually dissect each and every single reason you should go for it on 4th down? Case in point, let's say your team is on their own 40-yard line and it's 4th and 5. And I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not sure if this is one of the things. I'm just throwing this out there. It's 4th and 5, and the analytics say, go for it. Yeah, if your percentage chance, it's better if you go for it. And it's not just you might make the 1st down. It's like, well, even if you don't make the 1st down, well then the chances are that you'll punt the ball, and then your defense will stop the other team, and yada yada yada. And that's what I'm asking. How far down the rabbit hole do we go? Because if you're just lumping everything together, well then it just seems like you're not really getting into the specifics. Like, okay, once again, case in point, 40-yard line, 4th and 7, blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, you'll make it, but is it like, does it depend on the team? Well, if you're playing the Falcons, you go for it. But if you're playing the 49ers, then now you don't want to go for it. And also, how do you go for it? Do you pass the ball? Do you run? If you run the ball, you're going to make it. If you pass the ball, you're not. I don't know how far. Once again, nobody ever explains how far everything has been dissected. Because obviously, there's some teams you'll go for it against because they suck on the defense. And there's other teams where you go for it, and the other defense is like pretty good against the run and the pass and yada yada yada. So you don't do that. So if somebody could explain to me how far down the rabbit hole analytics goes, that would be great. I mean, are they grading on a curve? You know, it's like, well, this. So yeah, analytics just. I never understand that. You know, back in the day, I think I said this before, you know, 4th down and 7, you punted the ball. There was no doubt you punted the ball. But nowadays it's like, well, yeah, but it's all based on projections of what the possibilities could happen eventually later on. And my brain is starting to hurt a little bit here talking about this, so we'll stop about that. Analytics, PFF. Another topic that was big this last week was the end zone fumble. If you fumble the ball out of the end zone, then the other team gets the ball on their own 20-yard line and gets to go the other way. A lot of people are saying, well, this is the stupidest rule. Well, another one of the stupidest rules in the NFL. I'm kind of like, I understand both people's views, because I think also that giving the ball to the offense and on the 20-yard line and saying, well, here you go, is a little like, wait a second, wow, that's a big pickup. But I also think that, yeah, if you fumbled the ball out of the end zone, then the other team should get the ball, because that's hallowed ground. The end zone is their house. You come into my house with a bomb, and you fumble the bomb out, I get the bomb back. You don't get the bomb again. I'm not giving you the bomb again. You know, people say, well, you should put it down where the spot of the fumble happened, and start from there. I'm like it is on the regular field. But yeah, you know, the end zone is hallowed ground. That's sacred ground. That's a total different animal there. But I don't think that the offense should get the ball on the 20-yard line. I would say, you know, do that little mark, the little mark on the field where you go for the 2-point conversion back in the day. Yeah, I would move the ball there, you know, the 2-yard, and then say, here you go. You got your ball. Here you go. So 20-yard line, a little excessive. But yeah, I think the end zone's a totally different animal. If you fumble the ball into the end zone and it goes out of the end zone, the other team should get the ball. Yeah. I think it's all based on that holy roller, the holy roller rule. Back in the day, Dave Casper batting the ball forward. What happens if you do that? You know, you just bat the ball forward, you know. You can't do that anymore, so. Anyways, it's kind of funny. But yeah, so that bomb thing might have been a bad analogy, but yeah, that's all I can think of at the time. Before we get into my shorts, saw a couple commercials this week that kind of like made me wonder. One of them was for this thing called GLP from RO. I don't know what exactly that means. I'm sure if you have GLP or RO, you do. But it's like this, one of those like little things that you, I don't know what it's for, but you stab yourself and has drugs in it or whatever. Anyways, the thing is, so the commercial's going, and at the end, the woman who's talking about, oh yeah, she says, let me get this right here. She says during the commercial, it's surprising how a little tiny prick can be so powerful in so many ways. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody besides me just think that's kind of, I don't know, little off? Just saying. Also, I was watching this commercial for this show called Country Boy. Apparently there's these farmer dudes that are looking for love, and so they bring these women out to the farm that these women have no idea what a cow or a sheep is. Well, I'm just kind of exaggerating, obviously, but they obviously, you know, do not know what farm life is like. Why would you do? I mean, I know it's a reality show and you gotta have drama, but why would they choose those? Why wouldn't they choose like women that are already, you know, have farm life as well? You know, I don't. And another thing, I started thinking in my head, and I know I'm going to get a little bit of trouble here, but I'm just going to go with it anyways. Why aren't there any fat chicks on any of these reality shows? I mean, they all seem to be like, you know, model-esque. Even the Golden Bachelor dude, you know. Now, sure, there's once in a while you get the what was that term we used to use back in the 60s and 70s? Pleasingly plump girls on there or whatever. But you never get any fat chicks. Not to say that, you know, all country women are fat chicks, but I'm just saying, why is that? I mean, aren't we past the whole fat shaming thing nowadays? Or are we still in that? Is that still a thing? I don't know. But anyways, I just thought I was curious. Not just the Country Boy, you know, show, but all reality dating TV shows. For some reason, there's never any fat chicks in there that I've seen, anyways. I mean, maybe someone will bring that up to me and go, "Oh, hey, episode blah blah blah, or season blah 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 of this. They had, you know, her and whatever type of thing." So maybe that's true, but. From what I've seen on the advertisements, the commercials, they never show any fat chicks. So just a kind of an observation there. Alright, so let's get into my shorts. Alright, so speaking of Country Boy and cowboys in general, I was going to do this, talk about this last week. But then I thought, I don't know, maybe it's really not a subject that needs to be discussed or whatever. But then I was watching one of the sports shows, and the guys on there started talking about cowboy hats, and pretty much had the same thoughts that I had about how they're pretty cumbersome. I mean, really, they're fine when they're on your head, I guess, for a short period of time, but they're not very practical as far as wearing just anywhere. I get it, they're more of a fashion statement, but as far as being a practical hat to wear, not so much. Unless you're on the range. I mean, if you're out there and you're a real cowboy and you're on the range, I mean, I understand what they're for, why they're that big and everything. It's for rain and sun, yada yada yada. But practical everyday use, they're just a fashion statement, but they're very impractical. So, I mean, it's not like you can wear that. Sure, there are some people that wear them all the time. Those are the kind of jerks that I'm talking about. Unless you have this kind of cowboy hat. Now this kind of cowboy hat is okay because, you know, you can take it off, you can scrunch it up, you can put it in the, you know, stuff it up there in the airplane compartment up above you, you know. You probably stuff it in your back pocket if you want to. Then you pop it out there, you know, cowboy hat. But that's not the cowboy hat I'm talking about. So yeah, cowboy hats. So this past week, once again, Bill Belichick, because, well, it's Bill Belichick. There was some chatter about how come he hasn't already been hired for a head coaching job, and why isn't there more interest in him from other teams? I can think of a few reasons why there would not be any interest from other teams. I won't get into them, but I'm not surprised that there wasn't, you know, across the board 100% interest. Everybody's firing their coaches, and we're firing our coaches, bring in Bill Belichick. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why not. One of the things people were talking about was like, well, why don't you just bring Bill Belichick into your, you know, an interview so you can get some, you know, some intel? I'm like, what? Why would he do that? I mean, you go into a meeting and all of a sudden the people start asking all these questions, and you start kind of figuring out, oh, the only reason they're asking these questions is because they want to see how they can better their program so that they can, in the future, if we play each other, can beat my ass. Why would Bill do that? So I thought that was kind of interesting. Oh, well, you should just interview, just if not anything else, just to get some intel on how to run an organization. Why would he give you that information? Because just so you can use it against them later? That's just stupid. So yeah, Bill Belichick, but you know, it's Bill Belichick, and until he gets that hire, there's going to be all those rampant running rumors. The 3 R's, as I call them. And I just came up with that because I never called them that before. But yeah. So Mike McCarthy, head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, was talking to reporters at one of the podium news conferences, and he said, we're champions, we're championship team, we're just not world champions. And once again, everybody lost their frickin' marbles, they lost their minds. They were like, oh my God, you're an idiot, how can you say you're champions when you're, you know, you're clearly not a, you know, Super Bowl championship team. Excuse me for a second here. So, you know what's funny when whenever someone wins a championship, however small it is, also they break out these hats and they break out their t-shirts. They say, the 49ers last week, or the couple weeks before, when they won the NFC West championship, had shirts on. NFC West champions, it's a lock, you know, so yeah, those t-shirts, so the teams are calling themselves champions even though they hadn't won the Super Bowl, but they have t-shirts when you win your division, you have a t-shirt and hat when you win the conference, and then you have a t-shirt and hat when you win the Super Bowl. Or, you know, any other sport, you know, same thing, you know, basketball, you know, baseball, whatever. It's, you know, they got hats and t-shirts saying, we won our division, and then we won the conference or the league, and then we won the whole thing, the whole shebang. So for people to rag on him saying that, oh well, you know, you're an idiot for saying that you're a champion when you're not a champion, that's stupid because everybody does it. Everybody has the hats and the hats and the t-shirts. They give them out right away. So once again, I'm not going to say dichotomy. I'm not going to say that. I am going to say that. Hypocrisy. Let's go with that one for a little bit. Speaking of Mike McCarthy, a lot of people rag on him for his clock management. I've seen a few instances in the past playoffs where clock management was a little bit of an issue. But, you know, and everybody kind of brings it up. Oh, well, yeah, they got to do this, they got to do this better. But Mike McCarthy does it. Ah, oh, he's terrible. He's a terrible, blah, 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 clock management. It's like, but anybody, once again, Matt LaFleur did not use his timeouts on defense. When everybody knows, analytics says you're supposed to use your timeouts on defense when it gets late in the game. If you're trying to, you know, trying to come back from being, you know, scored on. But he did not, so that gave his team less time to try to score than they would have had if he would have used his timeouts on defense. So, but, yeah, everybody kind of just brushes that over. Yeah, well, okay, whatever. But if Mike McCarthy would have done that, there would have been, and I'm no big fan of the Dallas Cowboys. But you know what? When somebody does something, when somebody gets ragged on for doing something continuously and vehemently, when another person pretty much does the same thing and it's just kind of brushed over, that kind of chaps my hide. Boy, am I a cowboy now? That taps my hide. So, I'm curious about this whole ESPN bet thing. I'm just trying to figure out, I wonder what that does to DraftKings and FanDuel, who are the other two major betting sites. Because I'm thinking ESPN's like, well, why are we, you know, I mean, sure they're losing advertising dollars from having these people go on the show, but they're also like, well, I guess they figure they can make up those dollars and more by being ESPN bet instead of these other guys. And I wonder how much their stock and revenue is going to be affected by ESPN bet. Just wondering. So I'm watching one of the many sports TV shows that I watch, and they started talking about WWE. And they actually had the president of the WWE come on and talk about how they had just got a new contract with Netflix for $5 billion over I don't know how many years. I'm wondering, why are we talking about the WWE on a sports network? Because the WWE is not a sport. Now I get it. You gotta be really in good shape and athletic to do what they do in WWE. I mean, falling on your back from 10 feet in the air, yeah, that's pretty, you gotta be in pretty good shape. And they take bumps and bruises, man. I mean, you know, there's no doubt that there's, you know, a lot of pain that is involved in that. But it's not a sport. It's entertainment. It even says it in the title, WWE. The E stands for entertainment. So, and we all know it's not real. We all know it's all preordained on who's going to win and who's not going to win. I used to date this girl who was into that stuff, the wrestling stuff, big time. And so she would drag me to some of the shows, and we'd get like the really good tickets where we're like in the third row, and you can feel the sweat flying off onto you and stuff like that. And I mean, I'll admit, you know, after a couple Pearl Lights, I'm like, yeah, kick his ass, you go, you know. But I knew it was fake, but still, I mean, like I said, a couple Pearl Lights, you're getting into it. But it's still entertainment. You know, you know who else puts their body through rigorous training and, I mean, a lot of pain to perfect their craft? Cirque du Soleil. But we don't talk about them on sports networks, do we? Nobody goes, oh, Cirque du Soleil, look at that girl hanging from the ribbons, and those guys doing the things where the one guy's on the back, and they're doing all that weird gymnastic stuff going on. But we don't talk, that's entertainment. But we don't talk about them on sports channels, so why would somebody talk about the WWE as a sport? It's not a sport, it's entertainment. So, just saying. Alright, so final thing for today, because I know you're getting tired of me. Baseball Hall of Fame just elected 3 new members to the Hall of Fame. I won't bore you with their names, but let's just say I know who they are. I've heard of them, and each and every one of them deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. You know, the Hall of Fame is a weird thing because there's always somebody who's left out, and people are like, why is that person left out? Because they were a great player during my time. And my whole take on the Hall of Fame is that if you were famous and on the TV and on the news for an extended period of time during the time you were playing your era, whatever you want to call it, you should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care if you, he took drugs that made him, you know, better, or he gambled on the sport, or you know what? I don't care about any of that. If you're a good player and you played in your era and you were famous, because the word fame is in famous, okay? Hall of Fame, Hall of Famous. You should be in there. It's not like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's a total joke. That's a joke. But we all know that. But yeah, baseball and football. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people over the years from the beginning, you know, when the Hall of Fames first started, or the leagues started. You know, Ty Cobb, he was a racist son of a bitch. He's in the Hall of Fame. Babe Ruth was a womanizing, you know, partying guy. He's in the Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of people in there that have, you know, what do you call that, iffy backgrounds or whatever from the olden days. And, I mean, what about all the players from the A's who were popping greenies during the World Series? That's okay? Sure, why not? Everybody do it. And it wasn't just the A's doing it back then. It was a lot of people doing it back then. So, Hall of Fame is kind of like one of those, yeah, you get in, you know, should you get in, should you not get in, and it seems it's kind of subjective, because the baseball writers of America who do the Hall of Fame for baseball, I mean, they're just human beings, and they're going to vote people in because they like them or don't like them. Roger Clemens is getting blackballed because he said some stuff politically that people didn't agree with. What's up with that? You know, so, I think there might have been some other things going on, but like I said, if you were famous and one of the best players of your era generation, you should be in the Hall of Fame. Speaking of Hall of Fame, in conclusion, don't forget to write in Jim Plunkett. Go to wherever you got to go. I know I said I'd come up with this last time, but I will find out what the best place to go to write your congressman for Jim Plunkett for Hall of Fame. Because he should be in there. That's one of those guys that should definitely be in there. 2 Super Bowls, 1 MVP Super Bowl. I mean, if guys like Kurt Warner can get in there, and Eli Manning, who's probably going to get in there, can get in there, then Jim Plunkett should definitely be in there. So, Jim Plunkett, Hall of Fame, peace out.